family is totally honored to hear you. It's an amazing, amazing thing. Welcome to Quaker Air Conditioning. We've got a lot of years in this town as a family and this meeting. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Jesus was talking to his disciples. And in John 15:15, he stated, I no longer call you servants, because a servant doesn't know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I have learned from the Father, I have made known to you. And the reason I read that passage is to kind of give some background of Quakerism. That is and I'll try to be brief and not drag this out in a big history lesson, but the real name is the Religious Society of Friends. They were persecuted in England in the 1600s, and the name Quaker was a kind of a jab and a stab and a kind of joke, and it stuck. And to this day, we're considered Quakers. This meeting house in this town, Quakerism, a place, family, was back at least 6 generations, possibly 7. Our grandfather came to Indiana pre-World War I from a little town on the foothills of Smoky Mountains called Friendsville, Tennessee, founded by Quakers. His father, my great-grandfather, was a teacher at the academy. This was pre-public school systems, and the Friends had a lot of schools, colleges, academies. And he was a school teacher there, and our great-grandmother was a boarding house person. She kind of took care of the kids in a boarding house. So there's a lot of Quaker roots here. We have my family went here. I occasionally went here. I was kind of split with another church with my mother. But our grandparents came here. My dad, aunts, and uncles all came here. So I'm going to probably get lightning strikes. I was back in the 60s. I was here with my grandparents several times. I don't remember much early 60s, maybe late 50s. Don't remember a whole lot about the meeting, but I do remember afterwards going out on these steps that had been redone. There were some steps out there. About half the males in the congregation were lighting up cigarettes. So it's one of those things. Just sticks in your mind as a kid, you know. And of course, nobody thought anything about it back then. That's the way it was. Clay, there will be no burial service this afternoon. It'll be a private affair with family at a later date. So he'll be placed in South Lawn, which is here in Dublin, where we grew up as kids. And he'll be next, very close to our parents and grandparents and great uncle and aunts and uncles. So that was it. Clay was a free spirit, to say the least. And well, many of you know that. He marched to a different drummer. And he reflected and respected the Quaker heritage very much. And he actually did more than that. He projected. He was one of those guys that just would give the shirt off his back to anybody in need. He helped people. And a lot of times he needed help. And he was just one of those guys. And, you know, he made so many friends across not only the state, the globe. I got a text, well, it was a Facebook message from, I knew he talked about this, from Brazil, a person that was down there. And he had friends in Mexico and Europe. And so he's one of those guys that you just couldn't forget. And real quickly too, today will be a traditional Quaker memorial service and celebration. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Clay we were trying, Carl was trying to figure this out too real quick. Where are we going to funeral home and what are we going to do here, that, and the other. We thought of this meeting. So she gets on the phone and calls the pastor from this place, Annie, and Annie cordially answered her call and said, oh, no, church, no problem. I have a little problem. I'm in Germany. I won't be back to do the rituals, which she'd done with some of the other family members that went to this meeting. So I said, this is not a problem. I am really good friends with Stan Baker, First Friends in Indianapolis. He was our pastor, he's retired now. He'll be happy. I call him up, he knew Clay quite well. And so we did that, and Stan went on and on about it. I put him on speakerphone so that my siblings could hear his fond memories of Clay and how much fun he had talking to him. And he goes, oh, but I can't do it. I'm in Bogota. So, it's come to my attention, the 21st century Quaker pastor makes a little bit more money than I thought. But in all seriousness, I'm glad that they're both there. It's well-deserved vacations, and we wish them all the best and a safe trip. At this time, I'm going to kind of maybe we'll go down pecking order of what were the five of us, kids. And I will turn this over to Bruce and let him speak.
Thank you, Dan. I'm going to read my statement. This is a quote from a Stoic verse, and it goes like this. When we end from activity, or follow up by to its conclusion, it's a kind of death. And it doesn't harm us. Think about your life, childhood, boyhood, youth, old age. Everything transformed. It's kind of dying. Is that so terrible? No. Think about life with your grandfather, your mother. Realize how many other deaths and transformations and endings there have been, and ask yourself, was this so terrible? No. Then neither will the close of your life be. It's an ending and transformation. I believe Clay is in transformation. It is something so wonderful, it's beyond our imagination. Clay will live like there is no tomorrow. It may sound romantic, but it's not a strategy for success. He was always on the edge of time. So he lived in the moment because he realized that's all we had is the moment. When he was good, he embraced the now as an opportunity to connect with others, express his passions, and share his love. Oh my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell, and lead all souls to heaven, especially those in most need of thy mercy. I love you, Clay. I hope we can meet again. And God have mercy on our souls. Thank you.
I have a poem I'm going to read. I'm going to try to get through it without crying, but I don't think I'm going to be able to because I'm already crying. The poem's The Dash by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone, from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between the years. For that dash represents all the time that we spend alive on earth, and not only those who love them. No, I'm sorry, line is worth. Okay, I'm gonna get to it. Yeah. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about these things long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel. And be less quick to anger and more appreciative, and show more appreciation, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. And if we treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Clay lived his dash with love, laughter, hard work, and loyalty. His life wasn't about titles or things. It was about the people he cared for, the memories he created, and the kindness he showed. He's going to be very much missed by all his family and his friends. And his brothers next.
I was known the youngest, but in the tradition of Clay, I just wing it. I don't have any. I don't have remarks. Clay was my brother, my best man in this very church, and my best friend. And I see a lot of faces here from high school and younger than that, grade school, and a lot of lifelong friends. And Clay and I did a lot together with a lot of the people in this room. We did other things. We climbed mountains together, swam in the ocean together, ate it together sometimes, hunted together once, and drank more than a few beers together. Had a lot of fun. I love him. Doing this, this was unexpected, and it's want to say I love you, Clay. As you might have noticed, Clay's not here with us. The remains are in Marion County, and we're waiting on the procedures and processes of the coroner there, so we thought it was only fitting that we do this and keep with the tradition and make sure that Clay's late for his own funeral.
That was good. That was exceptional.
Well, again, we can't take you and but Clay was, if nothing, he should have been a history teacher. The guy was incredibly well-read and knew dates and crazy things, the world history, U.S. history, but so it's fitting that we have this next moment of this hot afternoon in traditional Quaker memorial, which is a group of friends gathered together as we are today, and we're going to kind of speed it up a little bit. You would sit here in silence. We're going to do it for a couple minutes, and I would like you to reflect on thoughts of Clay, thoughts that you had with him, thoughts that run through your mind. It doesn't matter what it is. And if the Spirit so moves you, you may stand up and or sit down for that matter. It doesn't matter. Speak your mind. Let us all in on something that you would to share. What was my wife's talking about? So I got So, like I said, if the Spirit moves you, please share a story with us. But we're going to go into silent worship, we call it, the Quaker world, for just a couple minutes and collect those thoughts and get ready. And this really doesn't become a back and forth. It's stay where you like to, sit down and let the next person speak. Thank you.
This privilege 5 years ago at the cabin. One day, in a freak accident involving a tow motor, my leg was broken. To this day, Clay took responsibility for that, although he had nothing to do with it. It was a freak accident. I always told him, and even today, if he was here today, he would ask me how my leg was. I always told him the only thing I had to give up was running marathons. But that's just the type of person he was. It wasn't his fault. I never blamed him. It's an accident. Accidents happen. But he just the way he was. He felt there was for some reason, some responsibility. And like I said, even today, if he was here, he'd ask me how my leg was.
And never been a stranger. Joe and Lindsay were wed in Chicago in January, and we all went out as a family downtown Chicago, down in Selma. And my wife told us this. We were coming out the next morning, out on the streets of Chicago. It's -12 or something crazy. And so the street guys are going, "Hey, Clay, hey, how you doing?" You know, so he'd been handing out a little bit of dollar bills that a lot of these guys were hanging around with. So he didn't have a lot to go and share.
First grade on, became great friends and blood brothers in second grade. And spent a lot of time with the Lingenfelder family. I was kind of like one of their kids. Ruby would make me meals and I'd be there doing all kinds of things. But the thing that I enjoyed the most about their family and Clay was their caring nature, listening to you and always embracing people. And Clay had that all the way to the bone. And Jim, Clay and I had a lot of fun together. But the thing about Clay is he had a wit that you didn't really know. It would just come out sometimes. He would just crack you up. And it was so creative, and it was so off the wall. You were like, God, where'd he come up with this? But that was Clay. I mean, he was generous, loved people, never to a stranger. And I really enjoyed having him in my life for the time that it did. I'll miss him.
Remember the cassette tapes that we used to make?
Oh, yeah.
We had all goofing off.
We could sit there for 2 hours and talk about crazy stuff.
You said about Clay being so witty, just like, where did that come from? It was so funny. And he's like that his whole life.
Yeah. That was genius in a lot of ways.
It was, and people think, he probably don't know, Clay wrote poetry when he was junior high school or high school. Pages of it. So much so that the teacher thought it wasn't his. And it was so good. That's the story that I remember. But, yeah, Clay, Bruce had that line in the poet of heart. It was.
Speaking of poetry, Clay used to sing songs. He just made songs up. It's probably one of the first things I remember about him in grade school, and some of them were appropriate. Many were not. But, you know, over the years, we were friends somewhat when I first moved to Cambridge City in 1970, I think. And but we grew closer together probably in junior high when we all came together, you know, in junior high school. And of course, we had a lot of fun together, had a lot of those beers together. I've got a lot of stories that are not appropriate for this gathering, but we can talk later. Clay and I had a lot of fun together. Over the years, we kind of drifted apart. He was in Indianapolis, and I was here, and I was off in the military doing other things. And I have missed him, and I will continue to miss him. He was a good friend. Good memories.
Was here. Well, it was Chris and Clay, and they said, "Hey, we brought your dog home." I go, "What do you mean you brought the dog home?" "Yeah, here's Chaz and Roddy." Chaz is Doberman, mind you. We picked him up down there on Walnut. You know, I go, "Well, Chaz is here." They saw this dog. He didn't know I was an animal lover, and he thought my dog had gotten out. And bless his heart, they cried with this Doberman that they didn't even know. They went all out. Yeah, I brought this dog to my house. I'm like, "No, that's not my dog." So he goes, "Oh, well, you know, okay." Play away, and I got, "You might just go bring back where you found it." So I think that's ended up what they did, but they didn't have bite marks on them. Thank goodness, but that's just one thing that just shows you that Clay had such a kind heart for others and do anything in the middle of the night, bring a dog to your home, making insurance. So that's just one of the many Clay stories that comes to
I
my
think
mind.
maybe a couple of the beers had to do with that one.
So definitely.
Thoughtfulness and Clay was always looking out for the dog. You know, we talk about Christian goodwill, but he really lifted other people that would just pass by and not even try to make eye contact with people on the street. They would go up to them and shake their hand and say, "How are you doing?" So he really lived charity in so many ways. I don't know if people realize that, how much he did that. He was always looking out for somebody who thought needed help.
Holidays, we're always late, right? It was TBD if we show up or not. But he always, I will say, I got probably the 4 best gifts. And by 4 best gifts, meaning like stories. Brennan sent me all. It was like, what is this? I was probably like, what, 7 at the time? 8? Yeah, I'm not a Ren and Dempsey person at the time, and it was like, what is this? And then he got me the Rock and Bomb robots, I think. That wasn't from you, I don't think. That was a Clay one. And then I believe both of these movies came from him that had kind of shaped my life, I would say. They're my favorite movies. Princess Diaries and The Goonies, which I think technically, again, were kind of inappropriately given to me. I was pretty young, and they seemed a little bit more older, and I was probably like 9, 8 when those were given to me, but I loved them, and I'm like, wow, out of all the gifts, those really stuck with me over the years. So it's kind of interesting that they gave them to me, but that again shows kind of the spirit and everything else, so.
Well, talking about the holidays and showing up late, there was also a question of how many friends you went to bring the dinner, because sometimes he wouldn't even say that he wasn't coming, and then about 10 minutes before the event, he would show up, and normally it had at least one friend, not 2. So I always, luckily my side of the family would always prepare way too much food that they didn't always complain about, but so I was always prepared for it. You never knew. You know, sometimes it was even a girlfriend. So I don't know if that was necessarily the need, but anyway, so, because like even on Ann's wedding, at the last minute, he said, you know, he just said, oh, I'm just going to come by myself. And then it was about 10 minutes before the wedding, he said, hey, I'm bringing such and such. So it wasn't her. You just never know.
We had the best time. We made sure everyone who was around enjoyed that time with me too. We had a charisma that challenged me, and I always loved him. I didn't always like him.
I think that's a
And it was a challenge, but a challenge in a good way. God bless you, brother. God bless you.
Are all hearts clear? Does anyone want to take an opportunity to speak before we conclude our service today? If not, we're all honored you showed up. And it's a little early, but I think the Goal A Center in Cambridge is open for all to come and have some light refreshments, and we'll get to tell some of the stories we can't tell in church. So come, please join us. And we so much appreciate each and every one of you. It's quite a testimonial to a man's life when so many people show up in a hot Waker meeting house without air conditioning. Thank you, and we hope to see you at Goal A. If you don't know where it is, about 3 miles this way in Cambridge, ask anybody, they'll know where it is.